Well, I just talked to Steve Custer, so I know him,
Yeah,
and so I was
yeah,
like,
Steve was,
so
yeah,
so he's like, it's better. I told my husband, I go, I should probably like, maybe I should like drink before this. He's like, do you really want to do that? So I texted Steve. He's like, oh my God, you should drink and do that.
yeah.
Steve
The,
said, totally do that.
the other night I had a podcast with a guy that was a couple years younger than me in high school. He lives in California now, but he was in a band that was like pretty darn near like made it. Like he opened for, I'm sorry, Katy Perry opened for him.
Oh, wow.
Right. But he drank 2 bottles of wine by himself. And by the end of the podcast, dude, he was good and lit. Like it
I'm
was,
sure it was interesting.
it was fun. I didn't care. You know?
So, like, obviously, this is like weird, like via Zoom. I usually don't. I mean, I don't know. I just with my stay-at-home mom friends, I Zoom now. So, like, this is all new. So,
Right. So all right. So the reason that we're talking
yeah,
is because you're opening a brand new place in Frankfurt.
yeah. So I know, like, I know you're recording. Obviously, I see it.
I just
I have not signed a lease yet. So the lawyers are in the process of negotiating.
okay.
So I don't think I want that to be like the main topic, especially because I know we could get shut down for 6 months.
Yes. I had a high school teacher on, and he was saying that the superintendents were actually going over a protocol for if they didn't start next year on time.
I know. So they're
So
saying fall now for,
right. So,
I'm like, I don't know. So that is my initial hang up right now with the lawyers. So our lawyers are negotiating, and we're literally in limbo. I mean, I have like product ready to go. I have supplies ready to go. I'm not pulling the trigger because I'm not working. So
right. So
that's
what
where
were you
I'm at.
doing before you were opening this?
So I have been an independent contractor since 1997. So I've just literally been renting a station and working out of other people's. So I've always had a landlord,
Yeah.
and I managed a salon for 11 years. I was trained by an old school barber in Frankfurt Square by Ernie. I don't know if anyone who's from like the square, like went to Ernie, who was a guy, and everybody.
I went to Ernie. Was he like right by where the White Hen and stuff used to be? Like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So pretty much like everybody like knew Ernie. So that's where I started out. And so I managed that salon for 11 years, and then I just went out on my own, and I've been doing that ever since. And then my husband got really busy with a lot of side work, and then still works with a company who does marketing, online marketing. And so his career pretty much skyrocketed. So 15 years ago, I wanted to open a salon, and timing was never right. We just didn't have kids, and it seemed like it was great then. And then the fall of the economy, again, we went into the recession. It's like every time I want to do something, like something major happens in the economy, and it's like the world's like, no, they're like, this isn't going to happen. So I'm like, here I am again, like just waiting in limbo, like, but now I'm not working. Now I've like got thrown into this whole, you're a stay-at-home mom. Good luck with that, and homeschool them at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Now I had heard that. So I'm a real estate broker and a general contractor. I had heard that so that's like considered the gig economy, right? So like
it is.
We're doing jobs. I had heard that they're opening up, and I don't think I'll even file for it. Like I'm all right right now.
COVID-19.
Well, I heard that you could file for unemployment, which I've always been the employer, so I could never do that. But there were people sending me some links to some stuff saying that you could file for unemployment, and I'm like,
you can.
Weird.
So, but you can't really. You can all you want. And I have. I've called. I have done everything online that I could do. So basically, right now, the Illinois is not set up for this COVID-19 relief act. They have $2 trillion pushed into this
Right.
for 3 rounds. And it is not almost any state. There are a few states, and I am only schooled in my profession. Obviously, I've read, I've
Right.
researched, whatever. Illinois is, it's the pits. It's the ultimate pits. They said there probably won't be any relief for anybody until, in my industry, until probably August. It's not even, the system isn't even set up for funding for independent contractors, gig workers, self-employment, any of that.
Right.
So, and there's not enough funding, and we're the last on the totem pole.
Right, which I get, but now isn't the federal government supposed to be sending out the $1,200 checks or something like that at some point soon?
They are, but that also depends on your income as well. So if you rank in the 900 or 93,000 plus mark, it goes down, I believe, like 5%. And don't quote me, because again, this is all new. And
I had heard 75,000, but either way,
right. Like, so it's all, I guess it's all relative to your income, really. And then how many kids you have, if they're, like, 18 above, you get nothing, obviously.
Sure.
And, and then two, with unemployment, it also depends on obviously what you filed for plus $600 extra, but not everybody gets the $600 extra a week. So it's so muddled in its writing that it almost makes it impossible for you to understand. I mean, obviously it depends on what your taxes are and all of that. And obviously the COVID-19 relief fund is separate from the checks that are getting distributed from the government as well. So
yeah, I
don't
have
know.
looked into it because, like I've been a general contractor since I was 23 years old. I'm kind of always just prepared for like some kind of 6-month, like really bad. I mean, I'm 48 now, so that's 25 years I've been self-employed. And then I'm also like geared towards some, people make their money sometimes like it's real consistent. Contracting's not. There's times where I have a $35,000 check in my hand, and there's times where I got bupkis in my hand. So like I don't spend money when I have money. Like I'm pretty disciplined with it. So like when this happened, I was like, well, it is what it is. We have a ton of work signed up already. In fact, that's what I was doing today was another estimate. And I've got another one that I did on the phone today too, because we're trying not to come in contact with the people.
Sure.
I mean, the estimate, we just don't personally talk to each other that close. So we've got a lot of work. My thing is I'm trying to be as responsible as I can. I don't want to be one of those guys that we live on a spot where there's a sportsman's club right behind us. And every day that it's been nice out, there's been groups of 7 or 8, 10 bikers trying to go up there to have a beer. And I'm like, have you not watched the news? What are you doing? Like, you're going to have to give that up for just a little bit so we can all get back to work.
Well, so I think a lot of it, and this is what leads me to want to open the salon, right? For ultra professionals, people who are disciplined in their craft, in their field, and who are self-employed and who want to make it because they are disciplined themselves in order to make it.
Sure.
People in my industry, we have very similar industries. You have to go out there, you have to contract the work, you have to know how to do the work, you have to follow through, you have to keep it, you want repeat business, right? I mean, like that's what it's about. They build a deck, next year they're gonna want their kitchen done, so on and so forth, right? I mean, it's the same, it's really the same kind of concept for the most part.
Right.
However, I think that's where the economy, to me, is half-ass backwards. People don't save for the rainy day. People don't save for these times. So I have a list here of things that I could file for, and I'm not schooled on them. One of them, and this is just reading on the internet because all of this is new. They have new $500 I don't even know what you call them, $500 gifts of money, if you will, that the state of Illinois will give you in the lottery for hair, just for hairdressers.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
I know people who have done it. I mean, what is $500 going to do? That's not even going to pay my rent
No, right.
where I am. So I'm kind of like, all right, you know what? I'm married. Like, I'm okay. I have a roof over my head. I'm going to let somebody else have that $500, right? I didn't even apply for it, which sounds kind of shitty, maybe bitchy. I don't even know, if you will, but I'm going to give it to that single mom who really can't work, who had to pay her rent and, still can't feed her children.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
I mean,
You're
it
lucky
really is a problem.
well, seems like you're lucky that this didn't hit a year later and you were open and
Yeah.
running, because that would have been probably a death sentence if you would have been in the middle of paying rent and everything else. As far as that goes, your overhead would have probably killed you. But so now, how is that industry for, like, with the ebbs and flows with the economy? I mean, I'm a guy that was getting my haircut every 2-3 weeks.
So, in all honesty, I have I have had slow times, but not in regards to where and I'm fortunate because I'm disciplined. I show up for work every day. I have a schedule. I don't call off for craziness. I'm fortunate that my mom watched my children when they were infants. When they were sick, she stayed with them. Not everyone is that fortunate. So I do realize how lucky I am with that. Um, and really my husband, if he needed to take care of them too, he would call off work. He gets sick pay, he gets vacation time. I don't get anything. I get no benefits, no anything. No, and I made the choice, right? But you don't show up to work, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
So, but when the economy crashed in 2008 with the housing market, we had been in our house for 3 years and everyone was like, it was awful, right? Everybody was like, oh, this is the worst thing. I didn't feel a hit. I never felt a hit.
Oh, right,
Because
right.
everyone still wants their hair done. Everyone still needs a haircut, right?
I went through that, and I'm a real estate broker. So we felt it for sure. It was like someone flipped a switch. You couldn't talk and the problem really is that people are dumb. They don't understand that. Sorry, but that we.
No.
There's times I want to leave the country, not because I don't love the country, but because the stupidity it's unbelievable. You can't do basic math. So, like, they would be upset that they bought their house for $325,000, but they could only get $240 for it now. And I'm like, but that doesn't really matter. That's only a number. You see, because the house that you want to buy that you would have bought for $450 is now $325. It's all on percentage. You could still move and make out. Wealthy people know how to make money when the economy crashes. So, but it's impossible to explain to people. So that business,
it's paper money.
well,
It's paper money.
it's just, it has more to do with taking advantage of opportunities. Now, if you're somebody who ended up getting foreclosed on because you were overextended, well, then you have an option. You're in trouble. But when you got foreclosed on, your property went into foreclosure and it was sold cheaper than it was supposed to be sold. So then someone's there to take up that slack. So the housing industry should not have been affected the way it was, but it was. I still saw people. There was never a time where I didn't see people at the movies. I didn't see, like, it was a recession, but come on, was it really that bad? Like, it seemed like people were still doing everything they were doing. You're in an industry where there's some stuff that maybe you could get your hair colored an extra week longer or something like that. Did you notice that happening?
I did notice people doing like at home color, I would say more, or men, no, the slowdown in men, absolutely not. I have a pretty large male clientele, and only because I worked at a barber shop pretty much, and I've been doing her hair for 25 years. So, and that's how long I've been doing hair. Most of these men I've been doing since I was 18. But from there, I built up a really large female clientele, which I'm super grateful for because honestly, that's where the money's at. If you want to be really frank about everything. But no, I think the only thing that I did notice is that people maybe stretched it out a little bit longer, and maybe they box colored their hair, but they still came in for their haircut. And I mean, no, and I was also W-2'd by somebody else. So I think it was a different ball game then too. After that, 2 years after that is when I became self-employed. So did I keep as close of a track as I could have? No, absolutely not.
Right.
But I wasn't sitting around reading People magazine either, you know.
When I opened up my contracting business, the work that we wanted to do was to build homes. Like that's and the reason that we wanted to do it wasn't because it was more lucrative. It was because it was cleaner and easier to do than remodeling work or roofing or any of that kind of stuff. So you wanted to do the home building, but if I was only going to build homes, I would be completely dependent on the housing market. So like if the housing market dipped, I'd have no work. So we diversified and we did a lot of roofing, a lot of siding, a lot of room additions. We'd finish basements. We did some commercial work for trucking companies. We did party rooms for like the some like sports clubs and stuff like that. Like, so, you know, we would try to do everything that we could so that if one thing went down, we had something else to do. I would venture to guess that the haircut business, I mean, so right now, like my son cut my hair. Um, Now he cut it, but then I cut it again. So like, I like to keep my hair super tight. Like I don't like to have any hair on the sides. I take my razor when I get out of the shower and I shave my head, and
God,
then I
you're
just
brave.
blend it on the sides, and I keep
Is
it
that's blended?
as best as I can do under quarantine situation.
Exactly. It's
Uh,
great. It's
So,
great.
right. So, but it keeps me, I don't like to have hair. So, like, it's either that or just straight up get the razor and take it all off and be
Yeah,
the bald guy. Uh, so, like, you know, guys can get by on less than,
sure.
you know, the women can for sure. Um, I've been doing a lot of podcasts by Zoom, and I've been doing, uh, like, I told my friends, which I'm a pretty social guy, that listen, I don't want to text with you. We're not seeing any. No, we're not going out for beers. We're not doing anything fun anymore. Let's do it by this. So we've been video talking
Yeah,
and stuff like
that's
that.
what we do.
And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, like they're definitely complaining. They're like, you know, the one girl's got like 3 inches of gray hair. She's like, it's like this is insane. And I'm like, you know, I'm sorry.
Well, so the thing is, too, I am honestly, and maybe it's my Facebook feed and my Instagram, just things that I like subscribe to and like whatever. Obviously, it knows what you like and it listens to everything that you do.
Yeah.
So of course, it's all inundated with everything hair, right? It's just because that's who I am.
Yes.
But I honestly, I cannot believe the impact that the closure of our industry has had on the American public. I'm really honestly, I'm a little taken back by it. I'm a little flattered, but at the same time, I'm a little like, wow, so you have roots. So do I. I mean, my hair, this is the first time I've like done my hair and actually put on like real clothes in 20 days. Literally. I mean, I was like, I'm going to wear some earrings. Like, why not? Right? Because like
Yeah.
people are actually going to see me. Like, who are you seeing?
No. Right.
I mean, unless you have a necessary job, which I do understand.
Sure. Sure.
I
Sure.
mean, I wouldn't want to go, if I was a, I don't know, a doctor or a nurse or, even if I worked at the grocery store, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're going out in Gen Pop, you don't want to look like crap because it makes you feel like crap.
Absolutely.
And there's enough problems in the world. Nobody wants to feel like crap. But and that I do understand. But honestly, like, you're sitting at home. I mean, what's the big deal? I don't. And maybe that's just me.
Did you see so in Italy they were hit pretty hard with this, and the Italian mayors and governors were putting out video messages to their constituents, and they were losing their shit. I know this is not a funny time, but this was hilarious. He was like the full, what the fuck are you doing? Ain't nobody gonna see you. And like, they were going out to get their hair cut and stuff. And the mayors and governors were pissed off. Like, they're like, stop doing all that shit. Nobody cares. They're like, you're gonna die. It's gonna be a closed casket. No one cares.
Well, I mean, it really is a thing, but I mean, Lori Lightfoot needed her hair cut.
I was just talking to someone about that, and I'm like, you know what?
The hot button.
Nobody knew who that woman was. She was doing such a good job. They were putting her in those memes and everything for like stay inside.
Sure.
She was being like a cult hero for what she was doing. And then you had to go get a haircut. And I'm sorry. Like, couldn't your wife have cut that hair? Like, that's not even a hard haircut to cut.
It's not. Honestly, all she got was a low taper and an edging. That's all she got. And like, that's your hygiene? Okay. I mean, like, whatever. But so that girl, whoever posted it, has now since taken her profile off of Facebook because I have looked. She was a young person just trying to make it. You know what I mean? Right. Whatever. I mean, but Lori Lightfoot could have gotten away with that if that girl did not post that. She could have said, oh, my wife just trimmed it up in our bathroom, which is what most of America is doing. However, a barber just did die recently from, forget where he was from now, but he just passed away. So this is our first of our industry who has passed away, but he was doing hair, home haircuts, hair, barbering, going to people, or people were coming to him, whichever it was, I'm not sure, but he has since passed away. But we are so close to people. We are breathing and exchanging air. There have been times where I have literally spit on people and I'm like, sorry. Like, I literally just spit on you. Like, but you're talking to them. You're above them. That is what you're doing. And stuff flies out of your mouth. Like, what are you going to do?
No, right.
I mean, to me, honestly, I would love for it to be an essential business, but I would not love to die or bring anything home to my family because somebody has roots or because somebody needs their hair trimmed. I mean, to me, it's a little bit ridiculous. Just sit back, throw your sports bra on, and throw your hair up in a mom bun and shut it. You should see me every day. I came down and the kids were like, Mom, you look so pretty. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to be on a podcast. And they're like, for what? Right. I'm like, I'm going to Zoom. They're like, but you Zoom with your friends every day. And you're like wearing a mom bun. I'm like, just shut it. They don't get it. Like, they have no idea. Right. No. But I mean, I have thought about coming in here in my mom bun and my, with no makeup on, because that is really how you should just embrace it and realize that that's not really what is important. But clearly it is the American public.
No, right. I'm sure. And I mean, I see a lot of people being in the real estate business. I have as many connections as possible on social media. So, because I get a lot of work that way. But I see a lot of people that are just as defiant in this as they can be. I mean, people that are good friends of mine that are like calling up, like going on pages of people that I know that work at bars. They're like, hey, I'm out riding the bike today with 8 friends. Can we just stop by? We're under 10. And I'm like, dude, can you just not do that for 1 month? Just chill. We would all like to get back to work. And, I mean, I'm complaining about that because I want people to get back to work. But I think there was 2,200 people that died yesterday or something like that. It was like,
Yeah, I didn't see the
the number
numbers
was pretty
today.
darn big. Um, and I mean, we were talking about, Lori Lightfoot getting her haircut. It's obvious that everybody in those news conferences, I'm sure Pritzker's getting his haircut. I'm sure he's getting
He
makeup
said
done.
it wasn't. Yeah, he
Well,
said he wasn't,
that's
but
right. That's all bullshit. And I
I
mean,
know, sure it is.
it's got to take 4 people to do Trump's hair. I mean,
I'm not sure who actually does Trump's hair. That looks like a bathroom job to me
right.
personally, but whatever. Um, yeah, I just think it says a lot about, and I can't speak for any other country, I guess, but I guess it says a lot about your um, discipline as a human. If you can't even handle not going to a bar, like Alton, Illinois, the mayor's wife got cited for a citation for being at a bar.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, she made a poor judgment. I mean, okay, well, first of all, you're a mayor's wife, so you have a responsibility
Yes.
as far
Right.
as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So yeah, poor judgment, poor choices. But I mean, really? Like Zoom with your friends, Zoom, whatever you do.
Sure.
People hanging out at parks and I mean, everyone has seen the studies. It lives on metal for 3 days. It lives on plastic for 4. I mean,
Right.
I believe what you want, think the government's trying to control you. There's all these conspiracy theories. I totally get it. No, what Bill Gates is trying to close down the country for a year. I mean, I don't know. Like, believe what you want to believe. And it doesn't matter to me. But like, honestly, there is science behind it, right? I mean, there just is. No one's
Yeah.
trying to kill the American economy. No one is trying to kill the economy globally for that fact.
So,
But
someone that's done hair for as long as you have, what's the craziest story you ever heard sitting in the cutting hair?
ooh,
I mean, I always talk to my
a lot.
So I think I went to Ernie one time when I was in high school, and I got a
Yeah.
mohawk, and I got it bleached like Billy Idol white. So I was a guy with a big mohawk in high school, and I went there to get that done. But otherwise, I always went to Kings Row in New Lenox.
Oh, New Lenox, yeah.
Yeah, Bob Luzbatek do my hair forever.
Yeah.
In fact, when Bob retired, he would come to my house every 3 weeks to cut my hair at my house. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I have a haircut forever by the same guy. But I always talked with that guy the entire time that I
Yeah.
was there. I get my hair cut now in town here in Manteno, and the guy that cuts my hair, he hardly says boo the entire time. It's like it's like pulling teeth to get him to talk.
Some people, and that's probably a barber for you. You know what I mean? I don't know. Men aren't very conversational. Like, I don't know. My husband can sit with his best friend and I can watch them drink 3 beers and they say 4 words to each other. Like, I don't get it,
Yeah,
but whatever.
Not my barber, not me. I mean, him talk the entire time. I think I know my barber's complete life story, and he knows mine. Like, we became really good friends. We talk. He knows
Yeah.
who my friends are, like all that kind of stuff. So, no, and I mean,
Yeah.
I do a podcast because I talk too much anyway.
Yeah. Well, I miss this like interaction, like just talking to someone that I don't know, or just, it's just something new. I mean, I've been locked up with the same 3 people for 20 days. Like, I know everything about you. Like, I'm done.
Right.
But the craziest story, I have heard a lot of shit. A lot of shit.
Right.
I think you form a relationship with people. You're touching them. They have their private time with you. To that, and it's in public. It's not private, but people
Right.
don't see that. That's just not what they see. And it doesn't bother me. And honestly, I love it. Like, I really, really love it. I don't think there's ever been a time in my life where I have been like, well, I mean, there's been times where I've been tired or just like, oh, I cannot listen to like another person's problem today because I have my own shit.
Right.
But you know what? Equally as much, if like without divulging like too many personal things, like it's a revolving door, right? Because like you form a relationship with those people too. They've like been with me through 2 pregnancies, with my marriage, my kids. their infancy, their illnesses. I mean, it, you know, my dad's death, like it's just things that they know about you and you know about them. So it's not even necessarily like inner deep dark secrets or I have had some crazy, it's mostly the people who you don't have a super great relationship with that tell you all sorts of crazy, because
Right.
they're looking for somewhere to go and someone who doesn't know them that's not going to judge them, and they might be like a one and done, 3 times done, and you never see them again. And doing hair this long, you know who they are, you could pinpoint it, you know. So it's like, I don't know, you take it
As
as
a
you get it.
contractor, I've been to people's houses, to do jobs and stuff like that. I was with a guy, he was a flat earther, and I wasn't doing the podcast yet. I wish I could have had the conversation I had with him on a podcast, because he had done so much YouTube research. It was all bullshit, but it was like the way that they connected the dots with everything. He was positive that the earth was flat. It was all a government conspiracy.
Yeah.
That no, the moon and the sun don't exist. That they do seasons just because they do seasons, like to make you believe it and everything else. It was just crazy. Like this guy, and he was positive that that's the way it was going on. I got a guy that's supposed to come on next week, and he's going to tell me all about how this whole thing is a hoax, coronavirus, and I'm going to do it via Zoom because I'm not, it's not a hoax, it's real. But he's all about like how 5G is part of how it's being spread. Tom Hanks.
I haven't heard that.
What, that 5G is helping it spread?
Yeah, no, I haven't heard that, but
5G is somehow ruining our immune system and it's making it worse. Tom Hanks and Bill Gates are the heading a pedophile ring that are all the elites are involved. It's the most. But if he will sit there and explain it, then I'll listen to him. Go, man, go.
for sure.
But so I've had some people tell me some crazy stuff, and then with contracting, so you're there for like a 30-minute appointment. There's times where I'm there, 10 hours a day for a week.
Sure.
So they get talking, and then the political stuff, and like it gets there. There's some crazy stories I've heard too. And then if you spend enough time with someone, they'll tell you like family secrets and stuff like that I'm like, oh, I did not need to know that. Like that's.
Yeah, I mean, you get that. You definitely get that. I think the worst is when like, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. But when if you have like family or like a gaggle of people that know each other, and
Oh, the
like,
guy.
that, yeah. And like, I don't play that. I do not play that game.
Sure.
You tell me what you tell me. It's not going any further. I'm not going to sit in I'm not going to have you sit in my chair and be like, well, Joni said this. And then that's the easiest way to kill your career.
Right.
I mean, so it's nothing. It's normal everyday shit. It's shit that we all have, every single one of us.
Right.
So your shit's no different than my shit.
No.
It's just, it is what it is. And you just try to help that person, and you formed a relationship with them, and you try to guide them as much as you can, and do the hair at the same time.
Right. So your salon that you're opening up, what's it offering? What's going to be there? What are you going to be able to get done if you go into your salon?
So right now what I'm working on is, I want to open a salon. I have had some rough experiences being a renter, because we have different facets of our industry, right? So you have commission based, you have shared commission, which is but whatever. I mean, some people believe in it, and whatever, that's their business, not mine, but whatever. And renters, and rental is kind of a nice mixed medium, because it lets you be your own entrepreneur, and you pay rent to a person who pays the other rent or owns a building, and you pay your own taxes, do your own thing, come and go as you please. The problem with that I have found is that either the person who owns the salon is not really an invested partner. They are in it to make money or just make the rent because they don't want to do hair anymore, and that's how they're making their income, and are not vested in the business or industry at all anymore. Some are there just very, very part-time. Like, so they have no idea what's happening. The world could be falling apart in front of their face, and they're just coming in and just doing their thing. They do hair 10 hours a week and they leave, and you're really stuck doing everything else. So what I want to do is open a salon that shows togetherness, that where ultra professionals come together and everybody works together as a team. Because I think that that's what's lacking in this industry. Not if you're a commission-based salon or even shared income salons. That is a new thing that's on the uprise now, because rental has gone so wonky and haywire. Because there isn't togetherness, there isn't leadership. Nobody leads by example in when anyone's doing that. Everybody, it's like, yay for me, fuck you. Really, that's how it is. Like,
well, yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's different. That's really kind of like socialisty kind of thing, right? Where you're sharing which I mean, there's certain aspects of that are good. If you're someone starting out in the business, you need to be able to get your foot in the door where you don't have your regulars and all that kind of stuff. But if you're a really talented person at that, then you're not quite making the money you would make if you were like, making all your own money.
right. So that was the one thing, is that when I left being in a commission-based salon, he and she, they were a married couple. They were like, you will fail. Good luck. You're going to fail. I'm like, I'm going to fail? Okay. I mean, like, whatever. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fail. No. But you know what? I'm not a failure. I don't really fail at anything. Does it scare me? Sure, it scares me. I mean, what doesn't scare you? If you're not like stepping outside your box and challenging yourself, I mean, yeah, it's scary. I mean, life is scary. This is scary, but we're making it. We're doing it because we reserve ourselves. We don't throw everything into one pile at the same time and, throw caution to but that's one thing that I would like to change about this salon, is having everybody be their own entrepreneur and be a strong, independent business owner. Because I think that this industry has gotten a bad rap. I think that people think, oh, well, I mean, you're just doing hair. Oh, well, I mean, you need us now. I mean, now we're like we're like drug dealers. I mean, like, we're going to be like gangbusters when this shit opens. Like, what? Like, look out. But that an interview process and finding the right renters, the right sole proprietor for themselves will be a good fit for me and for them to thrive in a clean, safe, sanitary, professional environment with education, because we need that, right? In our industry, continuing education is a huge thing to grow and to be certified in certain things, hair extensions and colors and, everything else, like the new trends.
Right.
And to want to be and work with professional individuals. But I don't want that responsibility to pay your taxes. I don't want the responsibility of having you not show up for work, or, you be your own boss. You will lead by example. You need to be smart with your money. You can make your own money. I'm not here to rip you off. Not that anyone's ripping anybody off. It's an industry where people make money. I mean, it's a business. Like, everybody's in it to make money, right? Yeah. But I'm not there to feel like I'm ripping you off. I want to give you a place to have your own business, to do your own thing, and to thrive and make as much as you can. Because if money is not going to motivate you, nothing in the world will. It just won't.
Yeah. So I don't subscribe to that. There's a difference. Like, in the contracting business, I made at times more money than like it became where the money wasn't that big of a deal. It was more about like what jobs were we getting, and like never getting callbacks to ever go back to someone's house and fix anything, and never having a leaky roof, and never had like it was, I was motivated to get to maybe like 80 or $90,000 a year. But then after that, my motivations changed. It was like, I really want to get that job that's tougher. My story is real wild one too, because we just met. 17 years ago, I broke my neck. So I'm a guy that's in a wheelchair. So I'm paralyzed from my chest down. I'm still contracting, and I'm still, selling real estate. Nothing stopped me. But
so great.
Right. It's fine. But when like 2 weeks before I broke my neck, I was sitting in a bar, rainy day, with another contractor buddy of mine, guy that I came up with, we used to work for his dad. And we were sitting there, and I'm like, I don't think that there's anything I can't build. And I was like 30. And he's like, yeah. And I go, I just got done with this like 4,000 square foot house with looked like a castle and a turret on there. It was like all this really, extraordinary stuff. And I go, I kind of thought it was going to be harder. It wasn't that hard. And I was like, I'm really looking for something to challenge me, and then broke my neck. So I had plenty of challenges on my plate then. But so like money was good up to a point. I mean, I remember like when I first started out, I was contracting, I was working solo all by myself, and I was like siding houses. So I'm like got a 12-foot piece of siding, and I'm cutting it and, installing it and everything on my own.
Yeah.
And when I got to a certain point where I could hire someone, I was so thrilled because, oh my God, I was getting batty from talking to myself all day long.
Lonely.
Right. Just me, right? Me by myself,
Yeah.
and that and the homeowner. So, but when I hired that guy, and then it went pretty fast from there. Then I started to pick up other guys. And I was lucky when I started out. I worked for other people, obviously, before I went out on my own. And I was always the hardest working guy on the job. If we were carrying stacks of 2x4s, I was carrying more than anybody. Like this is just how I operated. If we were bringing bundles of shingles up, I was bringing them up 2 at a time. So anytime that I had lull, I had a concrete guy that put me to work every single day. He goes, you just call me that morning, tell me you got nothing going on, I'll put you right on the crew. I'd be there, and I'd be humping forms, to make my days pay, so that, I'd work like 2 weeks with them, and then get my next job and go to that job, and then so on. But once I got to a certain point where I had like 3 straight employees where they were solid working, and I was making a good check, I didn't even think about the money that much anymore. I mean, I thought about when I was supposed to get my money from people, but I wasn't like, I remember working each job and trying to count every penny to make sure that I was making money on the job and everything else. Mm-hmm. Your industry's got to be like that, because you got to take all your overhead into consideration, and then you've got to do something to like set yourself apart from. There's so many salons, you know what I mean? You got to.
There is.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So it's not, like you were saying, it's not about the money, right? It's about forming that relationship with a person to have them come back to you. Like, right. So it's not about the one-time job. I'm going to make, whatever off of you, 200, $1,000 for
sure.
$30, like whatever it is.
Right.
But it is about the repeat business and forming that relationship with your clientele. But it's also about having like-minded people that you work with, which has always been a struggle for me, because just like you, I have felt that I have always been the hardest working one there. Before cell phones were even a thing, we had a salon phone. Now everybody calls our cell phones. We have a main number, but nobody really calls it. All of our clients really book online or call us directly, or nobody even really calls us. Everybody texts, and most of my people rebook. But it in the end all be all, it was before cell phones, it was always me who was answering the phone. It was always me that was running around doing the tells if we didn't have an assistant, or that was me who was working twice as hard, twice as slow, being 9 months pregnant, trying, before I
Sure.
am off of work and still having to pay rent, to be like, I'm still paying rent now, even though I'm not working. I still have to pay the owner of my building to be there, to not work. So I would love to offer those things to people and say, yeah, take that 2-week vacation, rest your body. Because you know what? I will cover your rent for 2 weeks.
Right.
Don't give that money to me. You go and take that Hawaii vacation or Tennessee vacation, whatever floats your boat, go and do it. Because you know what? You have worked hard here. This is what I'm going to give back to you. I'd love to give back education and have educators come into the salon and have me supply that for them. Like, they're paying to be here. I need to give value for what someone who wants to come and work in my salon, I need to give value to that for them paying me to be there. I would love to provide education for you and to further your career, to be your own entrepreneur. Because our industry gets such a bad rap, there's a lot of single moms who need money. Like, not everybody's married. I mean, it just is what it is. And even if you are married, let's face it, like, financially, it's not always great for everybody.
Now,
So
in that industry, you're saying continuing education. So do you have to have like 12 hours every year, or what's the CE?
the CE, so I have my instructor's license. So I need double the hours. So I have to have 24 hours, but the average hairdresser that does not have an educator license only has to have 14.
Okay.
So, and most people get more. I mean, that's 14 is pretty much the bare minimum. I just went to a weekend before all this went down I think it was in November. I just went to a weekender hair show and I got all of my hours. It was 2 days of full on education.
Sure.
But I mean, I got the minimum done in a weekend. I mean, I was away from my kids, my husband, and I took a day off of work and it was fun, But I would love to be able to have educators come into the salon for, a 2-hour class, a 4-hour class, whatever it is, and to be able to provide that for them. And that's a perk, come on in. I'm going to pay for that part of that education. This is it's rolled into the services that I can provide you for renting in my salon.
Now, how about, do you guys have like inspectors that come in like a restaurant would, to make sure that you're sanitary and like all that? Is there some sort of...
No, I mean, it's there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's there. I'm sure it exists. In my 25 years of doing hair, I have never, ever, ever, the only people that have ever come in is the fire department to make sure that, your exit signs are lit up and you have fire extinguishers.
Right.
The only thing I've ever noticed. But I mean, you're gonna be sanitary in your salon. You don't want that, brushes are cleaned and everything is done. Capes are washed and, I mean, it's just pretty basic.
What kind of overhead, like if someone wanted to, like you want to open a full salon with, 6 stylists in there or something like that, what kind of overhead does that take? I mean, my barber shop that I was at, it wasn't much. They had like dividers and like, it was pretty simple place. I mean, somebody brought a radio in and, they had the barber shop. But a salon kind of got to be nicer than that, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. It's so I'm in the thick of it right now. It's a little more than I anticipate, a little more than I had budgeted for. But like, I'm 43 and again, I've been doing hair for 25 years and this is my first real shot at this, right? And so I'm like, well, I've saved, I've lived within my means. I've done everything I can do to make this happen because I was losing my drive, right? I was like, you know what, Bruce, I think I'm just gonna stay at home. I think I'm done. I'm tired. Like the kids, they're exhausting, like ugh, I'm just done. He's like, no, 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 no. What is wrong with you? It's like, this is your passion. This is your gift. This is what you're supposed to do. And I was like, I don't know. So in limbo for a good year, just kind of plugging along. And finally one day I was like, that's it. I'm just going to do it. And I'm like, can we financially do it? And he's like, yeah, like, let's make this happen. So, all in, I would probably say now this is a smaller end salon. This is 6 stations, but with high end finishings, nice everything, great equipment. Again, just hairdressing, nothing else, nothing crazy. It minimum 50 G's.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds. Yeah.
So I'm sure there's more when I get into it. That's
Right.
just my preliminary right now. And so again, I'm afraid to pull the trigger. Like, I have not signed the contract. I literally have been like sitting on it, and like they're a little angry.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, right
I don't
now, what are
care.
you gonna do with the COVID situation? But you know, I started in construction when I was just before I was 18, and I took right to it. It was definitely something that I was going to be doing, and by the time I was 23, I had my own business. I had my, like my business cards, my truck, all that stuff all set up. And I never looked back. Like, I mean, I would come to people's homes and, start talking, and they're like, oh my God, I look like a boy. Like, I was 23 years old, clean shaven, I was like a boy. And, they're like, I can't believe that you're doing all this stuff. Now, that being said, my son started doing carpentry when they were 10. And
Oh, great.
they're 18. Last summer, they did $125,000 worth of construction in 10 weeks. So, and right now they've got about $60,000 worth of work waiting for them as soon as we can figure out what's going to go out of school or whatever like that. So they make a pretty decent buck just for the summertime. They're wrestlers, so they don't have time to work during the school year. But so like, I loved it. I loved the lifestyle. Like, I was never, when people said stuff to me like, oh, my job, and I'm like, dude, go find another one. Go do something different. Because if you feel that way and you're in your 20s, I don't know how it's going to be in your 40s, because
Right.
I was happy to go to work. And I mean, by the time I got injured, I was 30 years old. I had a crew of 6 guys. Like, everything was going really smooth. Like, it was, I had the thing kind of wired. And every day I came to work and I'm the boss. You know what I mean? Like, if there's a problem, you go get Bill. So, like, maybe I felt different about going to work than somebody else did if they were, dealing with having to deal with a shitty boss or some big company or something like that.
Sure.
But I always felt, and there were other guys that I knew that got into business, there were some plumbers that did fantastically well, and they were dumb guys. They were guys that were not very bright. And I kind of walked away with, I think you just got to be like dumb enough to not be worried about failing and not dumb enough to fail. You're really stupid that you're going to fall apart. And then, like you were saying, the discipline thing is a lot too. One of my sales techniques was to go to my sales appointment, talk to the people for a while. Once I felt like I got a rapport with them, I would say, well, I know you got other estimates, but let's go for a ride. We'll see where these other guys are at. It would be 6:30 at night. I'd put them in my truck. We would take off. We'd go to the White Horse, drive around the back. These fools would have their trucks with the signs on the side, and they're in there drunk. And I'm like, if you got an estimate from that guy or that guy or that guy, they're all in the bar. I'm not. So,
it's about trust and confidence.
right.
And that's just it. Pretty much, like, that's the secret potion.
Sure.
But that's the other thing is I would love to, like, inspire and lead by example and teach younger hairdressers how you can really be happy in this industry and really work in a fabulous place with a work family. That's one thing I feel like I have lacked for years. And that's what made me want to quit, not because of lack of passion for my industry or any of that. lack of a happy place to work. And I'm not going to keep spending the rest of my life searching for it. I want to create it.
Now, as far as
So
the other people that be working at your salon, I heard there's a pretty good amount of turnover in that business as far as people that get into it for 5 or 6 years and then they leave and do something else.
sure. So that's just it too, is I'm not gonna just let anybody walk in the door. Where I have worked at places where they're just like, yeah, come on in. Like, it kind of really has to be the right fit for anybody. One of the reasons why I feel like I could manage this, even if I did it on my own, I, I can pay the rent myself. I don't necessarily need to count on people to pay the rent for me. So I can, even if I was by myself for 6 months, 2 months, 3 months, whatever the case may be, I don't know. My theory is if I build it, they will come eventually.
Yeah,
Eventually,
sure.
like-minded people want to be with other like-minded people. I That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. Again, it's pretty simple. Um, I, I'm just going for it. I don't know. And in the end all be all, if I fail, what I lose? I don't know.
Better to have tried than to never
Yeah.
have. And I mean, I don't know. I, I I don't find it. I've talked to people who will not pull the trigger. They will not go on their own, and they should. They're talented people or whatever like that. And it is too much concern about it. And they would come to me and be like, well, what do you think? I'm like, one of my buddies is a concrete guy, and he does really nice work and everything else. And I'm like, you should have gone on your own 10 years ago. And he's like, you think? He goes, I got kids. And I'm like, dude, you you just need to do it. You just need to go in. You need to, obviously, it's not going to be easy. I was working 80 hours a week. I would show up at the job at 6:30. My guys showed up at 7. We would quit at 5:30. I would bust out of there at 5, go to sales appointments, go to estimates, and then come back and do office work after that. I was at work until 9 o'clock at night every day in the summertime. So it was a lot of work, but it was, I don't know, it was well worth it. It was worth it to be like,
It is worth
I'm the
it.
king of everything that I do. Every bit of work that all these guys do, the trucks they buy, the things they do, I produce all that for them, sort of a thing. And I mean, a couple of those guys went out on their own after years, and they still call me like for advice on this or for that. So like, I have no regrets on it at all. I couldn't imagine. I guess if somebody would have made it comfortable enough, there's a lot of headaches. If somebody would have made it comfortable enough and financially rewarding enough, then I would have just like worked for some real big company and been a superintendent or something
Mhm.
like that. But otherwise, I don't know. I think I had to be my own boss. I had to be the guy that did it my way.
Right. So that's just it. I want to provide a comfortable, safe, professional environment where you are your own entrepreneur. I am not your boss. I don't want to be your boss.
So
I I
I
have two
have a
kids.
nightmare. I have a nightmare salon story. I I wore a flat top forever, right? I had a flat top for years and years and years, and I got really busy working, and I couldn't get in to get a haircut. Couldn't get in a haircut, and I really do like I can't sleep if I've got to sleep on hair. Like it just drives me nuts. So I was in Tinley Park, and I'm like, screw it. I have to run in to, I think I had a saleswoman cancel or something like that. I'm going to run into one of these supercuts places or something like that, and I got to get a haircut. I came in there, and the girl looked at me, and she goes, what do you want? And I'm like, what do you mean? I want a haircut. And she goes, your hair's short. And I'm like, it was. I probably didn't have an inch worth of hair, but
Sure.
for me, that was super long, right? So
Sure.
then I'm like, all right. So I told her, I wear a flat top. And she goes, okay, all right, I know how to do that. And I'm like, are you sure? Because she was making me.
Uh,
And she pulled out this like enormous pick and she put it on top of my head. And I was like, oh no, I'm in big trouble. This is not going to work. And she just took off the little tiny bit of hair that was sticking out of this huge pick. And then she barely shaved the sides and everything else. She made a mess out of it, complete mess. And I had to like take time out of my day the next day and like go to a barber shop I couldn't go to my next sales appointment looking like I got like, some blind person cutting my hair.
Right.
And that I learned that lesson and I dated a girl that cut hair, and she's like, oh my God, she goes, never go with your haircut. There's no margin for error. Don't go there. Go to a barber and only a barber.
Yeah.
So like, and I mean, my barber, I want to say back then it was $8 for a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted like $15 for to mess up my hair. And I'm like, oh. So my advice to guys was always find a barber. Like the salon's not the place to be.
Yeah, men's hair, I will tell you, I work with people who do not cut men's hair at all. They don't.
Right.
And they're like, God, you do like so many guys. And I'm like, well, I mean, like I trained in a barbershop. Like that's like how I started out. And I love it. And I was so scared when I first started. I was so scared. I can remember he's like, okay, like you've got this, like do this. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I mean, I didn't have it, but it's about doing and it's about practicing. And
Sure.
I mean, oh, this poor guy, I cut this cowlick so short on top of his head. I was this 19-year-old girl with an eyebrow ring and I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I had no idea. And he just like, he trained me, but like you're getting all cocky and confident and shit. You're like, I got this. Yeah, no. But like barbering is difficult. Like, it is difficult. It's precision. There is no room for error.
Right.
There is no room.
Right.
So like people can knock it all they want and it's becoming super popular and there are some very, very talented people out there. There really are. It is really amazing. Now I have transitioned more out of barbering, obviously from years past, but into hairdressing. So I do less barbering now. Because I found other things that I love. But, and now there's barbershops. Now it's the popular thing, so.
Yes. Right, the hipster thing and everything else. But so my other story was I worked with a guy and we were on the job and I'm like, I gotta get out of here quick today. I gotta go get a haircut before the barbershop closes. And he goes, where do you go? And I go, I got to go to New Lenox. And we were like in Homewood Flossmoor. He goes, oh, no. You got to go to this girl that I go to. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I went to the girl the one time and messed it all up. And so he goes, no, you got to go. And I'm like, all right. So we go to like the girl he went to was like real close to there because we worked in that neighborhood all the time. And she was very large breasted. She spent a lot of time right on him and he enjoyed that. And I'm looking at him getting his hair cut and she's doing a terrible job of cutting his hair. And he goes, all right, your turn. And I go, no, I'm not doing
Wow, I'm surprised you backed down from that.
No, I was not. And we left there and I looked at him and I go, you look like a monkey. Your hair looks terrible. And he goes, yeah, but did you see the whole time? Like her boobs were all over me. And I'm like, dude, you just spent $15 for one woman to spend 30 minutes with you, and the rest of the month, no woman's going to look at you. You look terrible. I took him to the barber shop, and he got his hair cut by Bob Lusbatek, and he looked in the mirror, and he goes, oh, my God, it looks so good. And I'm like, yeah, you look all clean cut and everything nice. And he goes, I'm going to miss that girl. You're an idiot.
Well, that leads me to when I was pregnant with my first daughter. It's crazy, but I do my gynecologist hair. And whatever. Everyone's like, it's so weird, but whatever.
Right.
So it just is what it is. And again, when you're a professional, you just kind of look beyond it, right?
Yep.
So here I am, like they call the doctor in. They were like, breathe, baby's coming. And I just see him like walk in the door and he just gives me this like look of death, like this disgusted look on his face. And I'm like, what? And he's like, this. And I'm like, what? He's like, you are in active labor. And he's like, look at my eyebrows, look at my hair. He's like, oh, this is the last baby for you ever. And I'm like, oh my God, she butchered him. I mean, she killed him.
Yeah.
And he's like, all she did was rub her boobs in my face. And I'm like, sorry. I'm like, can I just have this baby?
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, finding a place to get a good
Same.
haircut it's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean, like when I took guys to the barber shop, like they would do the razor, the straight razor on your neck and everything else, and
Mhm.
like it's nice to come out of there and feel all clean cut and everything else. So no, I wouldn't go anywhere else. I mean,
Yeah.
my sons, they still go wherever they go, and I just shake my head. I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. That's the thing is it's everybody's preference, right? It's like it's whatever makes them feel good, it's whatever floats your boat. I mean, and there's a flavor for everyone. And there's enough yeah, there's hair salon on every corner. But you know what? This one's going to be good for you. This one's going to be good for you. You want to go to a barber shop, you don't have the financial means to go to a high-end salon, go to a Supercuts. I mean, that's it, there's enough for everybody, and
And now, where are you guys going to be located? You said you're going to be on White Street in Frankfurt?
yeah, so I'm looking to on White Street in the sorry, in the trolley barn, and
Right.
so and on the upper level where the paper spot was. So it looks over White Street and Kansas and looks right out at Brighter Green. So where all the concerts are,
Yeah.
and like the Summers in the Park and all that. So it's a great location. It's super pretty. The owners of the building they're magnificent people, super great people. I just right now it's just with this COVID-19 just pounding everything out because God only knows what's going to happen. I mean,
Right. No, I don't. And
up for grabs.
it is. And they're saying that some of the doctors are saying that we got to really be careful about, like, Fauci was saying just 2 days ago that he thinks that the summertime it's going to make it taper off, but it's not going to go away. And then when fall comes, we could have a second wave. And that second
Heard
wave
that.
during the Spanish flu was worse than the first wave. So, we have to watch it. And I mean, hopefully we get, you know, as a country, we've botched this really bad. I
Yeah.
mean, we had more time to prepare than other countries did. And I think we're a day away from right now at this pace being the number one deaths on the planet as far as countries go.
I
Now,
thought we were. I thought we hit that
I
already,
think
but I
Italy
could be
still
wrong.
has us by a couple thousand,
Oh, oh, okay.
but I think we're losing over 2,000 a day right now. So it's going fast. I know that we're over 16,000 just today. So it's crazy that's what's happening. But I just don't know. Like, it seems like if we don't get testing figured out, I don't know how anybody's going to go anywhere. Like, if I got tested and found out that I already had it and I had the antibodies, well, then I can go anywhere and do anything. I'm fine. And
They
I'm not.
think they don't know that, right? I mean,
No. So what I had read and what I had seen was they're coming out with the antibodies test, and the antibodies test is saying that you have a temp pure immunity for a certain amount of time. That they would test you, you have the antibodies, and then they would say 60 days later you need to take another test to make sure you
because
stay
it's going to mutate.
right.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so but once they have that figured out, who has it, who's already had it, and who can't be transmitting it, then we can start getting back to work, which I'm all for. But before that, it seems like as soon as they send us all back to work, and I don't know if work is the biggest problem. I think like concerts and NBA games and places where you're they had a guy, and I've repeated myself on a podcast here before, but there was a guy in like Rochelle, New York, who they figured out was patient zero. He came from Europe. He had the
Read that.
virus, and he was non-symptomatic, but he went to a party where there were 250 people, and he gave it to like 80 of them. And most of them were from that town. They shut that town down because the entire town had it. It was like really bad. So that's the thing. It's the large gatherings that are such trouble. So You know, and I mean,
Well, and in a salon is a large gathering too, right?
right.
Like you can't always control what's in there. I mean, I was at Meyer the other day. There are people walking around with families, and I am like, what in the fuck are you do? Like, what are you doing?
No.
I just have a handmade mask that my girlfriend down the street made me, and realizing that it isn't going to protect me from getting it, but like, if I have it, it's preventing it from spreading it to
Yes.
other people, right?
Right.
So it's not all about me. It's not about me. It's
No.
about everybody else.
Right.
It's about that I couldn't get the Walmart pickup groceries. So now I have to trape my ass to the Meijer and like bring whatever into my house because I need to feed my family.
Mhm.
It was like a regular day in the Meijer. What is everybody doing?
Now, how
Just
were they? How are they for stocked on stuff? Were they? Did they have stuff in the store?
they did. They did. The only thing that was out was paper products and sanitizer for the most part. And that really, I mean, I was okay on paper products, only because my husband prior to this told me 2 weeks, he's like, we're going to be in lockdown. My friend so-and-so, like he knows all this stuff about stuff, whatever. And hence the name of your podcast. And he's like, I'm telling you right now, buy paper towels and toilet paper and sanitizer on Amazon. And I was like, what? You're like, you're crazy. And he's like, could you just do it? And he's never one to be like, could you just do it? That's normally me.
Right.
And so I did. And like, lo and behold, this whole like toilet paper thing became like a frenzy. And so, I mean, I still can't get sanitizer. So, I mean, I have it. I mean, luckily, but like my mom's like, can you get any if you go out? And so, like, I've been trying, it's nowhere, but I've only been out twice. I literally left my house 2 times in 20 days. I'm like ready to blow my brains out. But I mean, luckily the weather was nice. We went on the bike track, I took the kids out. But people, it's like a regular old day out there for people.
Right.
I don't
Well,
know what everyone's doing.
we've been doing Meyer delivery, so just like going online and putting everything together. But most of the stuff online is not there. Like
No.
the last order I put in, couldn't get eggs, couldn't get bread. So like it was real spotty as far as, which I'm surprised about. We've always fed everybody with the grocery stores before. It's been weeks now. It seems like they should be replenished by now, but they're not. I don't know if people are still just hoarding in a way that is crazy.
I didn't feel that way about food when I was there
Okay.
at all. Everything now, when I did the Walmart pickup, I couldn't get everything, and that was okay. And actually, it was the best produce I have ever had from the Walmart pickup ever.
Right.
Then I was like, oh, this is the only choice I have. I'm just going to do it. It's
Right.
fine. And I am not a big fan of Meyer personally. I don't like it, but I needed some like pharmacy things. And so I was like, I didn't want to go to 2 different places. I just wanted to do everything at the same time. And I didn't really want to go to the Walmart only because I didn't want to go to the Walmart. I was like, oh, I don't know.
I personally will not shop at Walmart. That's just not my place to be.
Right.
I switched from Sam's Club to Costco,
Yeah.
and so
Me
I'll
too.
go and spend $700 at Costco regularly, and then I usually get the odds and ends like the milk, the bread, the eggs
Right.
from Burkott's in Mantino here, just a
Okay.
small store. My situation is I have two 18-year-old sons, and between the three of us, we eat a dozen eggs a day, a gallon of milk a day, a loaf of bread a day. So like that stuff just goes fast. And I'm not about to go buy 8 gallons of
Uh-oh.
milk and all that stuff. So I'm always looking for those kind of like essentials, but can't find them right now. Like I said, I can't get eggs, which is crazy. But I'm planning on like maybe a week or two from now trying to do Costco again, but I'm not sure how that's going to go. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get that, done. I don't want to go in the store. I want to do like the, curbside deal where they, bring it out and or there it is, sort of thing, or it's already shot for. Whoop, did I lose you? Oh, shit.